My name is Amanda.
And I'm Kristin.
And we are the Exorcisters. So sit back, relax, and let's get creepy. Welcome to episode 38. And we got a lot for you this episode.
Yes.
We have It, Chapter 1, It, Chapter 2, and It, the Novel by Stephen King. So we really went in hard for this one. And I don't know if I've talked about how much I love It, Chapter 1 in any of the previous episodes, but it is my favorite movie. Like,
of all time?
Pretty much. It is incredible to me, and it was very well done. There's very few things that I knock it for, and I just so thoroughly enjoyed it, and I have since it came out. I saw it in theaters back in 2017, and it is just one of my go-to movies that I watch for comfort, which I guess is kind of weird, but it's not really scary. It's just such a good, I feel like a wholesome story. And so I was really excited for It Chapter 2, and I was excited to read the novel as well, because I saw It Chapter 1 before I read the book, and obviously before I saw Chapter 2.
And what did you think of it?
Of It Chapter 2 or the book?
The book.
Okay, so I have some thoughts. And it's kind of a mixed bag. Everything that had the kids in it, every part that had the kids in it, I just absolutely adored it. It was and I have a thing, like I've told you, and I don't know why, I just have a thing for underdogs, and especially underdog kids.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, The Sandlot, Little Giants, I know there are both sports movies, but not really sports movie specific, just like, I loved bands of losers coming together and being badasses. Like the outcasts are the winners. And, and I just eat that shit up. And so everything in the book that had the kids in it, for the most part, I was super down with. And overall, I did enjoy the book. It's something that if it was shorter, I would probably read again. But just because of the sheer length of it,
you'll never read it again.
I will never read it again. Because it's almost 1,200 pages. Or maybe even a little bit longer.
Added to the fact that it got ruined for you.
Yeah, so I listened to the audiobook and read it kind of in tandem, but for a 1,200-page book, you really have to, like, set the time aside, like, an hour before bed and things like that. And so the audiobook, I could do it when I was driving, I could do it when I was cleaning, I could eat dinner and listen to it. It was kind of like it started taking place of watching TV for me. And I actually cried. So right when I got to the end, I was in my last 3 files. The last 3 were, the first one was 3.5 hours, then the second to last was 20 minutes, and the last one was also 20 minutes. So I finished the 3.5 hour audio file, and I was like, oh my god, I only have like 40 minutes left. That's fucking great. And then I turned on the next file, and it skipped a chunk, and I don't know, like, what exactly happened, if it was the audio file, or I missed one, but I cut to the ending and learned everything about the end. And so I had been listening and going through this for months and months and months, and then the ending was ruined for me and I missed the whole showdown.
You missed the actual fight.
Confrontation, yes.
And something that's infamous.
The child orgy?
Yeah, you missed that part as well.
I missed it. I'm wondering if the source that I downloaded it from omitted it because they were like, I don't want to listen to this. But I was really upset because you commit for so long and you have all this fluff. Like, even most of the fluff I enjoyed, weirdly enough. I was like, oh my god, he's going on another fucking tangent, and then I would get into the tangent. So it would be annoying, but then I would just get into it and I guess accept it. And then, yeah, I spent all that time and all those months leading up to something and waiting for something, and I didn't realize it because Stephen King does that. He goes back and forth and back and forth. So when it skipped ahead to after the fight, I was like, well, maybe in a minute they're going to talk about and remember the fight.
Until it was just over.
And then it was just over. And so I sat on the couch and I literally like teared up and I just felt so robbed.
Well, to dedicate your 3 months of your life to something and then miss the most important part. Yeah, that's pretty shitty.
So I had the book, like the actual tangible paperback, and I went back and read through the parts that I missed. But yeah, it was super fucking lame. But for the most part, I did enjoy the book. I enjoyed Chapter 1, and Chapter 2 is probably what we'll spend a lot of time talking about more than Chapter 1 because we had some more issues, I think, with Chapter 2 and the book as well. But for me, Chapter 1 was very well done. It was scary, but it wasn't scary. It was like, you're seeing it from the point of view of these children, and can you imagine being like a 10 to 13-year-old seeing all of this shit.
Right, absolutely.
It's terrifying. And I loved the relationships that they had and all their backstories, and I loved each one of those kids individually, which didn't really carry into the second part for me.
Well, you don't get enough time to get invested in these new adults because they're new people. I'm sorry, are you the same person that you were when you were 12? No, you're not.
You're the same person I was like 2 years ago.
Exactly, you're an entirely different person. These are entirely different characters that they needed to give more time for us to get attached to them, and they didn't.
Yeah. I mean,
in the book or the movie.
Right, and the reason, this isn't going to be a huge walkthrough is just because we have so many thoughts, and I'm pretty sure even non-horror movie fans, this seemed to be a cross-genre movie. I think a lot of people have seen It Chapter 1, like, no matter who you are and what you enjoy. But, I don't need to walk through that movie for you to know what happened. It Chapter 2, we will spoil some things, so if you haven't seen it, this is kind of like a hype and a normal episode kind of all tied into one. Don't listen. But I wanted so badly for it to be good. I told you, I haven't been this hyped up for a release since, like, Harry Potter. Maybe The Hunger Games, but especially nothing horror in a long time. And so when I went in and, I got emotional because I've read the book and I've loved part 1, so I'm invested in these kids. And spoiler alert, Stanley dies. He commits suicide in the book and in part 2. That's one of the first things you get. It's happening again, obviously. Mike Hanlon stayed in Derry, and he is calling them all back because they made an oath to come back and stop it if it ever happened again. So everyone reacts very violently to the call. Right. Like Richie throws up and gets sick, and most of them just get terrified and start sweating or having a meltdown. And Stan slits his wrist in the bathtub. And I cried right at the beginning when that happened, but it wasn't because of the movie. It was because of the book and, my love for part 1. And then I was, like, all in, and it lost me somewhere. But I don't really know where that happened. I just wasn't... It was kind of boring, parts of it were... And that was really unfortunate because I came out of it incredibly conflicted because I wanted to like it. I wanted to love it as much as I loved part 1. And I've seen a lot of reviews, and a lot of people say it doesn't have the same magic that part 1, but it was good. But for me, I don't know, like, my thoughts are very all over the place, which is probably not great for this episode. But we literally just came out the theater.
Yeah.
Like, this is
like a half an hour ago.
We're in, like, a movie hangover right now. So my thoughts aren't incredibly organized. It's just, I have this, like, disappointment in the pit of my stomach that I hate. Because I don't know how many times I can say it. I live and breathe Chapter 1. And for Chapter 2, not only to under-deliver, but make me not care about the characters that I would, like, die for, was really disappointing. And it wasn't the acting, necessarily. It was just some of the decisions that they made that changed who the character was to me.
No, I mean, I said it to you earlier, and they did this in the miniseries, they did this in the book. They take so much time giving you the kids, and that's great, that you don't have enough time to delve into the adults, and that's exactly what happened with part 2 once again. They had so much information that they needed to cram pack into this movie, so it's very cut up and jarring because they had so much they needed to throw in, but at the same time, it's an almost 3-hour movie and it's boring as fuck. I don't know how they managed that, but they did.
It's very segmented. Every time you see Pennywise, I thought was great. My favorite part of the movie was when Pennywise was doing his thing up until the end, and then you got, like, almost too much Pennywise. But when he was just creeping around the town, and I loved seeing him return. The final face-off. So in the book, and see, that's the thing. I wish I could have someone in here that has not read the book, because I'm curious as to... So if you haven't read the book, send us an email and tell us what your thoughts are, because for me, as someone who read the books, knowing the backstory to everything that's happening gives me a lot more context. But I feel like if you didn't read the book, some of the stuff may not have made sense, or I guess you would have to put it together yourself.
Or it's pointless. Like, it's only thrown in there for the people that read the book, but when you really come down to it, you don't need it.
Yeah.
Like, fucking the ritual of Chud. Like, it's mentioned in the book. It's even a whole chapter titled that, but it really comes down to something that's not what they do. It's not what they end up doing.
Yeah.
And they throw it in the movie, and it's pointless because it's a throwaway scene. You really could have saved yourself time and maybe done something more important.
Well, they beat It Chapter 2 pretty much exactly the same way they beat it in It Chapter 1. They mentally say, you're not scary, you're small, you're little, we are above you, da-da-da. They talk it into subduing it, you know, and that's what they did in Chapter 1, you know. They were like, fuck this clown, we're going to fuck it up, we're not scared anymore.
Which is not what they do in the book, which is so much better in the movie.
Yeah.
Go, this director, for taking, whatever, I've said it in the past, I hate Stephen King. I've liked 2 of his books ever. I think he is a misogynistic asshole, and I think he is overrated because he just drones on when it's not fucking needed. So any director that can make something great out of he has great ideas, but the implementation is horrible. And I think these directors are amazing. It Chapter 1, fucking amazing. I don't have any problems with it. I probably wouldn't give it a 5 because I'm not all into it like you.
Yeah.
But I don't have any problems that I set aside.
Yeah.
It Chapter 2, though, they still did better than Stephen King, but it's still boring.
It just, you know, made... So in the book, they do have this ritual, like you said, and as children, they have this clubhouse that you never see in Chapter 1, but you do see it in Chapter 2, and they spend a lot of their time in there as children, and something that they do that they thought would be kind of a cool, like, initiation is they go down there and do this, like, Native American ritual of smoking themselves out and seeing who can stand the longest.
Yeah.
And Mike and Richie get hallucinations and a dream, if you will, about the origins of it. And you see that it's this ancient thing that has been around for...
It's an alien.
Billions. And exactly, it crashed to Earth.
Yeah.
And you don't really get that in the movie because what they do is they turn it into Mike showing Bill this ancient ritual that these Native Americans have already tried to get rid of it, and they want to repeat that.
That they don't even use in the end.
Right.
So it's like, you just wasted my time.
Yeah, they try it, and then Pennywise starts talking and saying, well, tell them, you didn't tell them that the Native Americans failed and they couldn't beat me, and now Mike's all of a sudden this liar who betrayed them, but that's not in the book.
And they turn on him like that, too, in the movie.
Like, what, Mike?
Which is not the point of the first movie, and it's not the point of the book. The point of the book is entirely these people would die for each other even afterwards. They make this promise, and they will come back, and they will die for each other. The end. So then, turning Mike into this liar, and then they turn against him, is not in the spirit of it.
And not only do they turn against him, but they turn against him, and like 2 seconds later, they're over it, and it's never brought up again.
Exactly, but they keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like, over and over. You lied to us again, Mike. You lied to us again, Mike. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Yeah.
That's what your promise was all about.
Right. And so I think it lost some of the steam that the first had built. There weren't a lot of the kids because they had grown up. We talked about this when we walked out of the movie. You know, we were just kind of idling between movie and recording today. They couldn't do a lot with the kids, I guess, because the kids have grown up. They're in a middle school to early teen, like, you know, between like 15 and like, or, you know, when they filmed between like 13 and 16 years old.
Which is fucking stupid.
That's when you grow. That's when your voice changes. That's when you get taller. So there was a lot of de-aging that they had to do to the kids. I honestly didn't notice it too much, but you did.
I did. So I know other people, I've heard other people have a problem with Richie. Yeah, it's a little jarring sometimes. His skin looks a little too shiny.
Perfect.
And perfect. What I really had a problem with was Eddie. His voice must have dropped because they had to do a lot of After Effects on his voice to make him sound like a child again.
Like Eddie.
And that was jarring to me. Every scene he was in as a child was really hard for me. I think that they shouldn't have done it. And honestly, I'm not going to forgive him for it because you knew doing it Part 1, you were going to do a Part 2.
Because at the end of it, Chapter 1, it says Chapter 1.
We know there's a continuation of the book. We know there was a miniseries that did a second part. Okay, so we know there's going to be a Part 2. Give them a few months off, and then record again just the kids' part, even if you need extra time.
Right.
But you fucking knew this was happening. Don't give them 2 years off. Yeah, they're going to grow.
Right. Which, I think that was, you know, it's really hard to get a 1,200-page book into 2 parts here.
Yeah.
We've seen it with Lord of the Rings. We've seen it with The Hobbit. The Hobbit was about as long as it, if I'm not mistaken, and it got 3 3-hour movies.
The Hobbit is like 150 pages.
Oh, see, I didn't even know
Not
that.
even close.
I didn't read it.
The Hobbit, I mean, let's be honest, The Hobbit got raped for money.
Right.
But I would actually have accepted that with it. With it being so long, you could have taken these characters and really delved into them. I would have watched a movie where we just go to the adults and how it is affecting them for a while in their lives, and then maybe they get to Derry and that's the end and we do a third movie. I would have been down with that.
Yeah.
It gets you into these characters and then you fucking care about them. And maybe we could have left the kids behind then and moved on to the adults and not needed them as our pillar.
And as your segue.
Yes.
Because it goes back a few times to give you things that it didn't give you in the first one that it needs to set up the second one.
Mm-hmm.
They each have to go off individually to get their memory back. They have no memory of what happened when they were children. So when they come back to Derry, they have to kind of individually go off and do what they did when they were kids to get their memories back, to figure out how they're going to beat it.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that in the book. It was a little lengthy. Could have been trimmed. I think that's most Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
But in the movie, it was long, and then you also didn't... It wasn't really effective.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to get these artifacts for this ritual that didn't even...
That they didn't even do.
Mm-hmm. They tried, but it was kind of like...
So yeah, once again, you just wasted everybody's time getting to a point that you didn't even need. We could have just delved into these characters talking and hanging out in the town while they're getting ready to fight it.
Mm-hmm.
And we could have gotten all that backstory to be connected to them.
Well, what I think they could have done in the book, there is a scene where they're all together and they're talking about their memories as they're coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really get that in It Chapter 2. You get them going off and doing things and seeing things. And I think it would have kind of been cool for them to all be sitting together talking about their memories, and then you just get little flashbacks. More so than we're going to spend, 20 minutes on Eddie, and 25 minutes on Archie, and 30 minutes on Bev, and 40 minutes on Bill, and da-da-da-da-da. And there is a kid that Bill tries to save, that he tries to save in the book and the movie, and that was too long.
Way too long.
Yeah, I just feel like they didn't utilize their time very well, and I have to give them credit. I'm sure it's hard to take a 1,200-page book and write it into a screenplay.
Yeah.
But maybe they just picked a few of the wrong things, or maybe it's just because I know the backstory and have read the books that it let me down. But I've seen some pretty split opinions on it. I think unanimously across the board, everyone's like, yes, it's not as good as the first. But, and maybe the first is just, it's a different movie. It's kind of apples and oranges. But when you care so much about the kids and you bring back the same exact characters and you don't really care about them in Chapter 2, you've done something wrong here. Because, I'll fight to the death of my love for It Chapter 1 and even the book. And Stephen King doesn't really bother me too much until you kind of, point out everything that he's doing. That's being an asshole to fat, mean women.
Yeah. I mean, I'm ready to argue the Stephen King point if you're there for the book. Because I have got some huge fucking problems with that book.
I think that part of it is my love for It Chapter 1, because I loved that so much, and that was my starting point, was 5 out of 5, this is incredible, I love this movie so much, now I'm ready for all the meat that I didn't get. I think that I was going to eat it up either way. So I think that you have to think about that and my love for the book, because I was getting things about characters I already loved. He didn't have to convince me to love any of them. I already did. And I was already ready. And the only thing, it was, I kept saying, it's too long, but then I would get into all these side stories. And I think that you have to really consider my love for that. For the movie.
I definitely consider. I'm not holding anything against you
I know.
on liking the book or the movie or the second one if you say you love it. I have a problem with Stephen King. As a person, I'm starting to figure out.
I'm ready. Bring it on.
I've already said he is a huge misogynistic asshole, and I'm just going to stand by that. I have now read, and I'm just going to list them off. I have read Salem's Lot, and I'm reading Misery right now. I've read Dr. Sleep, The Shining, Carrie, Pet Sematary. Loved Pet Sematary. Honestly, that'll probably go down as one of my favorite books. So that's great that an author I hate so much is my favorite book.
Yeah.
I've read it. I have read all of these, and almost all of the characters are evil women.
Including It, by the way.
Yes.
You don't get that in either of the books. In either of the movies. In the book, It is a female.
Yes. The only one, and what I just listed, okay, I don't remember Salem's Lot very well. I read it when I was really young.
Mm-hmm.
But of what I just listed, the only one that's not a female is Pet Sematary, and that's just a thing.
Yeah.
Everything else is an evil woman. And if she's not an evil woman, then she's fat and stupid and weak and mean. Seriously? You don't have fucking The Shining.
Yeah.
Wendy Torrance is hated by her husband. I'm sorry, he's fucking disgusting to her. And it's like in every single thing. In this, you have Beverly Marsh, this little girl who's being abused by her father, and sexually, we're pretty sure. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end, she has to get them back together by having sex with all of them.
Yeah.
And that she knew that would bring them all together. Yeah. That girl is fucking damaged. And you just put that in a book that my daughter someday may read. And that's upsetting. Yeah. That's fucking horrible. I don't care what drugs
Maybe that's why I didn't get the audio. Maybe somebody was like, this is for my child.
Maybe. Because that's horrible.
I mean, and she, as an adult, you want her to be someone else. And she's with a husband that is just like her father.
Because
that
she's damaged.
hits her and rapes her.
Yeah.
And that's if that's what you're going to do with her character, in the books, she's not nearly as strong as she is in, like, at chapter 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, she tries to be. Mm-hmm. I'll give her that. Like, a lot of her internal dialogue is like, all right, Beverly, chill out, but she saves them, like, one time because she's a good shot. Mm-hmm. More than any of the others.
And then she has to save them with her vagina.
Right.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. It didn't need to happen. Like, I'll defend a lot of Stephen King's choices because it's like, okay, the child orgy in it is, everybody knows about it. It's very infamous, but it's completely unnecessary. And they could have just held hands or whatever,
They could. I would even have accepted a kiss. Mm-hmm. But are you? They're 12. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Mm-hmm. And then Beverly, the whole fucking time, is just this weak woman who has to have a man. She literally goes from daddy to an abusive guy to, she's married to that abusive guy, but she's going to go F Bill in the room while she's still married to this guy, and then she's going to leave with Ben.
Right, which she ends up with Ben.
What the fuck? Mm-hmm. You can't have one strong female character in any of your shit? That's bullshit.
Not that, I mean, I haven't read much of Stephen King stuff, so maybe there is one. If there is, let us know.
I'm sure there probably is out there. He's written a bajillion books, but the main ones that are in mainstream, not a one of them, that's bullshit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and another thing about it is they could have really, like, if they were going to split this up into, like, a whole universe of movies, I think the fans would have been here for it. Mm-hmm. I would have. Mm-hmm. I think that they could have done more with the kids, but they also could have given you more of an explanation of what it is. I mean, they have this whole thing of, like, it says in chapter 2, I am the eater of worlds. I am the eater of worlds. What does that mean? So in the book, you actually get that it has laid eggs. Mm-hmm. And it is a product of this turtle that is actually in a lot of the Stephen King universe is kind of like the end-all be that kind of like is the universe. And it actually explains why it existed because it had a bellyache is what it said, and then it was the product. And now it's this like evil negative force in the universe that's kind of like the balance between good and evil, kind of.
Yeah, that's for sure what happens in the book. Yeah. You're telling me that I just read 1,200 fucking pages to hear that a turtle shit out the world. I'm just leaving it at that. Like, I have nothing else to say. Are you fucking kidding me?
I would like to dive into more of see what Stephen King does with this turtle. There's got to be, like, I'm sure, Brad has a friend that's really into the Stephen King universe and everything being, like, connected,
Yeah, read The Dark Tower. That's right. What it's all about.
Yeah, and I would love to dive more into that, because I haven't. I've not ever been somebody that really wanted to read Stephen King. I can appreciate, like, the movies based on his books, but it's never really been something I've been into because he's weird.
Shit out the world.
Maybe that's what happened.
Okay, whatever. Just whatever. But one more thing that I wanted to talk about the book that's not about feminism or anything, but Are you fucking... Okay, so these kids are tortured the whole time by Henry Bowers, which you see in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
You see him in the second.
For like a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And he's very prominent in the book. He's literally torturing these kids. He killed Mike's dog. He's literally tried to kill Mike. He's tried to kill Ben. Literally tried to fucking kill him.
He is the it puppet in the book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end in the book, they all have to get into the room where it is living, okay? And in order to do that, they have to face their fears with this lock, basically. And the lock turns into what they're most afraid of. And every single one of them, it is Henry Bowers, except for Ben. The one he carves his fucking initials into and was gonna hunt down and kill. He still gets a mummy. He still gets the face of a mummy, because that's a childish fear. But he was literally gonna die. He can't grow at all. Steven? What?
So, it's interesting because I didn't watch any reviews of It Chapter 2 until I was going in. I got a more negative vibe from some of the shit that I was seeing, honestly, because I just saw a lot like, yeah, it was fine. It just didn't have, didn't have the same, like, power to it that the first one did. And then I heard, like, Bill Hader was, like, the star of everything. And I was like, well, that kind of makes sense because in the book, he's the savior.
Yeah, that's my other problem.
Which he wasn't.
He's not in the movie.
Yeah.
Give him his fucking due.
Moment.
Are you serious?
Instead,
he
they make him
saves
gay.
everyone.
Instead, they make him gay.
Yeah,
and in
but
love
why?
With Exactly, yeah.
I don't understand why. That's not a part of the book. It doesn't really add anything. They can just be great friends, so why not keep with the character that was already written?
That everybody loves.
Isn't that what you're trying to do, is keep with these characters? Why?
Yeah.
Even if it's to have more gay people on TV for influence, that's great. But they have that right in the beginning, which Stephen King did right.
Yeah.
Why do we change it?
Yeah.
I don't fucking get it.
Yeah, I was, that whole thing threw me off. So, in the end of It Chapter 2, spoiler alert, if you haven't already figured that out, Eddie gets killed.
Yeah.
And in the movie, they flash back to this particular scene of Richie playing a video game with another boy and him wanting the boy to stay and play again with him. And so you're like, are they trying to imply that Richie's gay? And then later, his friend Eddie dies, and you find out that he's so upset because he was in love with Eddie and he's gay, which I'm fine with. That doesn't, I'm all down for, I'm not even straight, so I don't care about that. That is not what I'm getting at, so nobody twist my words. But it just was unnecessary, and it was pandering, really.
And it's confusing. Like, you can see exactly that it's pandering because they have forgotten everything. I guarantee you, he didn't even realize that he was in love with Eddie when he was that young.
Yeah.
He probably just really liked his best friend. So how is he supposed to, at 30-something, know that he was in love with Eddie? Because he forgot Eddie. So what the fuck?
Yeah, and it just, I think it took away from the friendships that they all had. I didn't need to see a deeper reason for Richie to be so beside himself with grief that he lost Eddie, because even if they forgot everything, they remembered their friendships, at least, when they came back, That's all I needed. They
were just great friends.
I didn't need a weird twist of a love story between two of the friends other than Bev. And maybe they were trying to take, the token woman away for a second, but they've already done that. The whole 2 movies.
Also, in the books, he was also in love with Beverly, like everyone was. They all had a fucking crush on her.
Yeah. Because they're all kids, and she's the only girl.
Exactly.
It's whatever. But it was just really weird, and I didn't like that choice. And because it just, like I said, it just felt very pandery. I was like, what?
Yeah.
But you're not going to do anything with that.
Exactly.
So why is it there? And that's what a lot of It Chapter 2 felt like. I thought this was going to be more of a debate between the two of us about, I love it and you don't, but there was a moment, a small moment when we walked out of It Chapter 2, and I was sitting there with my thoughts, and I felt like I was going to cry again, because I was like,
disappointed.
You just took something away from me, and I really, it was fine. It wasn't a bad movie. It just was not what I wanted as a fan, as a true book part one. I mean, even the miniseries was okay, you know.
Mm-hmm.
As a true fan, I just feel a lot let down. I mean, it's this is kind of early to do this, but it's kind of like a 3 out of 5, middle of the road for me.
Yeah, definitely.
But when I think about everything that they had, that they could have worked with, that they could have made totally epic, I didn't even mind the last battle scene. I just wish that they would have just done that and gone all the way with it instead of trying to add in the ritual of Chud,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably confusing to listeners, again, if you haven't read it. The ritual is like this much of it. It's a huge segment of the book.
But they don't actually do anything with it. Like, they title it that, and they talk about it a couple times.
Yeah.
But it's more a psychological thing. It's hard. Mm-hmm. It's not like a ritual so much as they kind of combine their minds, and the kids have to take over.
And they made it a ritual in the movie, like an actual standing
which
around.
Which it wasn't, exactly.
Right. Yeah. So I wish that, you know, I think I would have enjoyed this whole universe more with It Chapter 1 in the book.
Yeah.
I don't think that It Chapter 2, I didn't hate it. I wanted to love it so much, and I went and saw It Chapter 1 in theaters again when they did the, you know, we've got like 10 minutes of It Chapter 2 in it, and it's all of them coming together at the Chinese food restaurant. I was pumped, I was invested emotionally and just for entertainment, and it didn't keep that same, it was like they were all their own characters, and there wasn't the same bond and feeling, you know. Yes, at the end they all hold each other, but like they're all like, I'm getting the fuck out of here for like a huge portion of the movie.
Yes, it's not that promise. Then why did you even show up if you're already ready to run away?
Yeah, because that doesn't happen in the book.
Once they're there, they're there.
I mean,
they're scared, but they're there.
They take like, you know, this is almost a 3-hour movie, and like for 40 minutes of it, 45 minutes, different characters are trying to convince different characters not to leave.
Yes.
And it just, maybe that's what it is, because that thought didn't hit me until now. Like, they weren't trying to run away. They got there, and they were terrified, but they started remembering everything, and they were like, fuck.
They didn't hold on to that connection and that love, this friendship. They didn't hold on to it.
Yeah. No, they did not.
And I think another problem for me was honestly the casting choice.
Okay.
I love McAvoy. He's amazing. But he is such a big name now that honestly I could only see McAvoy. I couldn't see Bill in any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a problem. I think Jessica Chastain was also a little on that edge. Like, I knew her well enough that she just didn't fit Beverly for me. The others, fucking spot on. Yeah. Oh my god, they were amazing.
Yeah.
But I feel like those two casting choices were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Skarsgård did amazing.
Oh, he always does, yeah.
Everyone did amazing.
Yeah.
But those two I just couldn't get in with.
And again, I think that part of that is because in fucking shit, this is going to turn into an hour of shitting on It Chapter 2, and that's not what this was meant to be. This was supposed to be our big It Chapter 1. This is what we thought, It Chapter 2. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when you take two people that have invested so much time, you know, fans or not, or just even on the line, you know.
Yeah.
And then we just saw It Chapter 2. Like, obviously that's going to be the most prominent thing that we're talking about.
Right.
You know, they didn't give you, I mean, everybody has a backstory as an adult. And you know about how they got to the point that they're at as adults, from when they left dairy to currently, at least a little bit. You know that Bill is married to this wonderful, sophisticated actress. And in the beginning of the movie, she was thrown in there.
Yeah.
And it was completely insignificant.
Says hi to her on set, and that's it.
And they fight. Yeah. And that's not what their relationship was in the book at all. And you know that how he got over his stutter and his college experience, and that he's this big horror writer, and that he's getting all these dreams, you know, kind of how he's going through this process. And then you get Beverly and what she's been doing, and that she's this designer, and her husband is controlling, and Ben is this insane architect that is just kind of king of the world, you know, and so on and so forth. And you just don't, they rely on how much you love It Chapter 1 to develop these characters in It Chapter 2.
Yes. Yes, they did.
Because they had a lot of content to cram into a movie, and I understand that. But again, I don't know, it was like It Chapter 1 was so cohesive from start to finish, and this one was just like, throw it all in.
We have all this other stuff left. We got to put it somewhere.
Right. And it just didn't make a lot of sense. And even knowing the backstory, it's just like, I mean, I guess if you just look at it from surface level and you don't really care that much, then it's totally fine. You know, they come back together, they're doing this ritual, they got to beat this entity.
I mean,
that's that.
Yeah, it was a fine movie.
Yeah,
it's fine. Like, I mean, I'll just go across all my ratings real quick. 4 out of 5 on the first one.
Mm-hmm.
3 out of 5 on part 2. It was very middle of the road, and then just 1 out of 5 on the fucking book. I fucking hate that shit.
For me, I think that it Chapter 1 gets a 5 out of 5, It Chapter 2 gets a 3 out of 5, and the book for me gets 4 out of 5. Honestly.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did. And I wish that it was shorter so I could reread it, because I think it'd be one of those things that I read with a few parts omitted. Like the child, you just feel dirty.
Yeah.
And with the audiobook too, like,
couldn't you imagine him saying it?
No.
Yeah.
By the way, the It audiobook read by Steven Weber, content aside, Steven Weber did an incredible, maybe that was part of the reason why I loved the audiobook and the book so much, is because every single character had their own voice, and even without them saying Beverly said, I knew it was Beverly. Yes, he just did such a great job of the characterization just in the audio. But It Chapter 2 was definitely a letdown for me. It Chapter 1, I love start to finish. I could watch it a million times. I have watched it a million times. I watch it in the bath all the time. And I love everything about it. That may sound like I'm not being analytical enough, but that's just what it is. I don't really want to. Because unless I started digging, there would be very little for me to find that I didn't like about that movie, or that I felt was technically wrong with it or whatever. But I think that maybe I didn't like It Chapter 2 because I just wanted this. I'm kind of, not to the same extent, but feeling like if Deathly Hallows Part 2 had been fucking garbage. And there were some parts I didn't like in it. But
That's
I didn't.
true. Had it been a huge letdown all those years?
I'm physically, like, my stomach hurts.
I bet.
Because I'm the kind of person, especially when I'm reading, like with movies, okay, but with books, I just get taken onto another plane. You know, I get so much more invested into the characters when I'm reading something, and spending my time sitting with them is kind of how I feel like I have in all the young adult novels and series that I've read. Like Harry Potter and The Hunger Games, for example. You know, I would get done with those books and I would be so incredibly sad for days that they were over. And that's how I felt with It Chapter 2. It was like these characters were with me and me with them, and maybe that's stupid, but that's what reading is supposed to do.
Absolutely.
and because I liked the book so much, you know, seeing the adaptation of the part 2, which is really most of the book, is the adults and remembering things, and for it to leave out important things, and for it to just be and it wasn't even like some of it was a little campy towards the end with the, you know, it and kind of there were a few like lame little parts, but more than anything, I didn't love the characters. I think this is just what it comes down to. I didn't love the characters in It Chapter 2 like I love them in Chapter 1, and they're the same character, and that broke my heart, I think. I didn't give a fuck about.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one I really, truly cared about was Richie.
And they let that one down, too.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. Richie's the one you care about, and he doesn't even get to save everybody like he did in the book.
Yeah.
That's kind of shitty.
And they did a lot of things that were very endearing. Like, I told Sierra and Katie, my friends, that in the book, Beep Richie is like this big, like, that's just what they say to Richie because he's bad-mouthing or whatever.
Shut up.
Shut the fuck up, yeah. And Bev looked at him once and went, beep Richie, and I saw Sierra look over at me, and I wanted to get excited because they threw that in there for book lovers, you know?
Exactly.
But I just feel a little robbed, and I didn't feel as robbed until we really started sitting down and talking about it, and I'm just going to watch It Chapter 1 and pretend that It Chapter 2 doesn't exist.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll still, you know, probably buy it and have it in my collection, but it's something that I've been seeing on Instagram and Twitter and Hulu, and I mean, they have just slapped you across the face with marketing because It Chapter 1 was so successful that they had the budget to do, you know, to put this movie up on a pedestal, and the trailers were good. And it just was, I don't know, I think this is going to take me a while to forgive. And I don't know who's at fault. I think the writing they made some poor choices, but they also were kind of working with one movie that they had to put in. I mean, It Chapter 1 was probably like 300 pages, and the rest of it they had to fit into It Chapter 2. So, I don't really have anyone that I know to blame. I just think that it was too difficult to put into a 3-hour movie or a 2.5-hour movie, and it just fell short on delivery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they just couldn't do it justice, I think.
I mean, I said it to you in the car, too. I feel like, this is going to sound really mean, but I feel like the first one, the director took a lot of stuff and did their own thing. And the second one, they took a lot of stuff from Stephen King's book, and it made it lame.
Yeah, because they couldn't take all of it. And if it's not all... There is a reason, like, yes, Stephen King is long-winded, but there's a reason it's 1,200 pages long. He just jam-packed so much information and backstory.
Cocaine, that's why.
Also that. But when you've got, I mean, let's see, Bill, Ben, Richie,
yeah, you have
Bev,
so many characters.
Stan, you've got fucking 7 of them. It's really long to get into all of their backstories.
And Henry, and then we have to talk about things like the Black Spot and all of this bullshit.
And history of Derry.
Yeah.
You have everything that's horrible happened in Derry since records have started.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've also got, like Mike's dad tells all his stories. That's where the Black Spot comes in. And so you've got the history of Derry, the history of it, the history of all 7 main characters, the history of all these auxiliary characters and antagonists. Like you said, Henry, you get a lot more on Henry's goons in the book. And so to take all of that and smash it into 2.5 hours, 3 hours, I think it was like 2:48 or something like that. I don't know. I just think they were kind of set up to fail.
Yeah.
Maybe if they'd greenlighted a third one, I truly think that fans would have been here for it. I understand that it might get a little scary being like, oh, people are just going to think we're trying to take their money.
I think they should have. I think 1,200 pages is warranted. The Hobbit, not. But 1,200 pages. And 3 of them.
Right. And, like, they did, Lord of the Rings did 3 movies, and each, like, segment kind of had its own, like, dedicated,
book.
Yeah. And that would have almost been like if Stephen King had written, kind of like Game of Thrones. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe that would have guided them a little more. I know that's not really his thing. He just writes a giant motherfucker.
Yeah. I feel like it would have been a great TV series, given it more time to...
But like an HBO or like a Netflix. I don't think a network could have done it, but...
No, yeah.
I'm going to be in this movie hangover for a while, and I did not mean for this to be like an hour bitch fest. It cut me deep, But I do I do recommend the book. I think that, and I also think that if I hadn't read the book, I would probably be much more on board for this movie, and that's probably, I don't think they made It Chapter 1 or 2 for the book lovers. I just don't think they did. And so maybe we shouldn't have read the book.
I was kind of thinking that in the theater too. I was like, I really liked 1, and I bet if I hadn't read the book in between the 2, I probably would have liked this one.
Yeah, and so take what we're saying with a grain of salt, like if you have not read the book, because you'll probably like it. And I don't want to dampen the movie experience for anyone, because I think if you go into it thinking it's going to be negative by what we say, you probably are going to find things.
Yeah.
But I think that if I hadn't read the book, then I probably would have liked it a lot more. I just felt they did the characters such a disservice.
Yeah.
All of them.
They definitely did.
Especially, they killed off Stan, which, yes, he needed to happen, but you don't get he had a story, too, before they killed him off.
He had a wife that loved him dearly, and it sounded like they had an amazing life.
Yeah.
And you get to hear any of it.
Yeah, they just killed him, and you get a suicide note to all his friends at the end.
Yeah.
And, it was just rough for us. I am an It book lover, and you are an It book hater, but...
But we still came to the same conclusion.
Yeah, right. So, my recommendation is, don't fucking read the book. Go into it, being like, all right, these are the same characters, and I love them, and that's that.
It's just a continuation.
And I think reading the book really spoiled it for me, which I don't regret, but I kind of wish I had read it after, but I wanted to do it for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I want to read any more of the books that we do.
Mm-hmm.
I know you will, because
I'm really trying to read them, and unfortunately Stephen King's the biggest horror writer, so it's all King, which sucks for me, but I'm really trying. I'm working on Misery right now.
I was excited to get on Misery. I wanted to do that this week because it's not super long. Book. Super long.
300 pages.
Yeah. I mean, I can knock that out in 2 nights if I really dedicate it, you know.
I mean...
But now I don't, that's kind of almost, even though I liked it, I'm like, I'm just a movie person now. Like, I'm scared of what movies can do to books. And I've always been that person that it's like, yeah, the Harry Potter books were better than the movies in my opinion. But it didn't ruin the movies for me.
Mm-hmm.
This ruined the movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
The book being better than the movie, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been like, those people that are like, oh my god, the book's so much better than the movie. I'm like, shut the fuck up, just enjoy the movie. I literally could not.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't.
Yep.
Because it didn't give me enough, I guess. So it just all was very like scratch the surface.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I really hope you enjoy it. I want to hear your thoughts about it. And, you know, unfortunately, this was a lot more negative. I've been so excited for this episode. Literally, every time we're like putting stuff in our planners and you said, it is this day, I'm like, yay!
Yeah,
you know. So I'm hurting. My feelings are hurt. It's okay. I'm just really sad that this wasn't the epic finale that I was really hoping for, because it just, they bully it and it goes away. And then they crush its heart.
Yep,
And it's over.
Which, honestly, I liked that ending better than what he did in the book.
Okay, they do the whole time rag on Bill for writing good books with shitty endings, which is
Stephen King.
Stephen King.
That's literally all his books.
Yeah.
All of his endings are
Stephen King is in the movie, and he tells Bill, I don't like your endings. Yeah. And so...
He knows.
Yeah. And I agree. It was a lot of build-up for a lot of letdown for me, personally. And I'm just going to keep watching chapter 1, and that's going to be my movie. And chapter 2 is not going to be part of that, so that's fine. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us again. Sorry for the... No, we didn't spend a lot of time on chapter 1 because, you know, we were so...
Great. We didn't have any problems.
Yeah, it was great. I think if we had dedicated an episode to chapter 1, we could have talked about all the things we loved, but it's such a simple, complicated problem these kids have. Like, it's a simple movie with, like, a complicated to these kids problem, and it was just, I think, beautiful in its simplicity of these kids are trying to take down a monster, and you didn't know it was some ancient fucking thing, and you didn't need to. It wasn't one of those movies I was like, why? Mm-hmm. What is it? I didn't care because I loved it so much.
Like, honestly, finding out that it was an alien, I was like, seriously?
It could have just been spooky.
Exactly.
So, again, chapter 1 is a 5 out of 5. The book is a 4 out of 5 for me, and chapter 2 is about a 3 out of 5. And if I was just going on how I feel about it right now, I'd give it a 1, but I know that if I hadn't read the book, I would feel better about it. So that's why I'm kind of giving it a middle of the road for me. Yeah. It was fine.
It's definitely passable.
But I hated that I didn't care about the characters that I just adore. So
yeah, absolutely.
Ruined it for me, yeah.
So again,
love you all. Thank you for letting us bitch about this movie that was so hyped up, and I hope it doesn't disappoint you, but like it did us. And I hope this episode doesn't disappoint you because we didn't like it. But you can follow us and hang out with us on Facebook and Instagram at The Exorcisters Podcast. We are on Twitter at The Exorcisters. You can find us on our website. It is exorcisters.com, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the movie. Just please be gentle and know that I am greeting. You can email us at theexorcisters@gmail.com. And before we sign off, I would also like to mention that we have our giveaway, our next one, or our current one going on over on our Instagram. It's a huge Halloween giveaway that we're really excited about. We got a lot of cool stuff for it. And every time we do a giveaway, I'm like, God damn it, I want that. So go check it out. It's really easy to enter. All you got to do is follow us and comment. Super easy. And we will pick the winner in October, and you will have your stuff before Halloween.
And next time, what happened to Emily? Till then, stay creepy.